Hey guys, welcome back to Resistance Chicks. I am one of your hosts, Michelle. Leah is coming. She's in the house. She is here. We have a great show for you guys today. I'm really excited about it. Fix that. That's going to bug me all day. Wins in Canada. Okay? We have been waiting and we have been covering week after week after week the insanity of what is going on in Canada. It's terrifying. They're attacking these pastors. They're putting them in jail. I mean, it's just, I can't. But prayer, steadfastness, Almighty God, the church is rising up, and we are seeing these wins take place in Canada, which is super duper uber exciting. So we've got a lot of stories for you out of Canada. In London, once again, the Londoners, the people in the UK, hit it out of the park with their latest freedom rally. You're going to want to hear about all of that. We've got your brother from another mother. Justin Trudeau has a red-pilled brother. You know, this kind of reminds me of a little bit of what's his name in the UK? Leah, what's his name? Oh, speaking of the UK, the lefty leader. You know, Corbyn, he's got a brother that's kind of red-pilled. But what I didn't put in the description, Boris Johnson gets married in some sort of secret ceremony. What is that about? That's so weird. You are the Prime Minister of the UK. Okay? Why are you getting married in some behind-the-scenes secretive, like, it's just strange. Maybe he didn't feel like he could dress up fancy enough, or I don't know. I mean, this stuff is so weird. I mean, kind of reminds me of like Camilla. You're like secretive, like everybody knows that you've had this mistress, you had a child out of wedlock, right? So just get married, have a wedding, make people happy. Like maybe people in the UK would want to celebrate with you. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? It's all weird. So strange.
I don't
Sneaky
know.
wedding, says Linda Jones on D Live. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So there you go. There's your preview for today's show.
Hey guys, let's jump right into it. Pastor Arthur, I have a hair right here.
Arthur.
Pastor Arthur's lawyer has an update. He was in court on Wednesday. If you guys just joining us, hi, welcome to Resistance Chicks. Glad you found us in this rabbit hole, this basement that, like, you know what this is like when we do our show?
We are technically in our basement, by the way.
Yeah, I know, right? It's like a speakeasy that you have to get directions to from other people to get to here.
Hang on a second, though, because that is happening for a lot of these freedom rallies. The frontline doctors here are coming, and you don't know.
Location
you don't know where
will be
at.
announced.
It's under wraps. It's to be announced
so that you don't
on.
have BLM, Antifa. So, like, if you're here, you heard about us from an alternative news site.
Mm-hmm.
And because it's not like you can just find us on YouTube. Oh, there's a stream going live like you used to be able to, which is how most people found us in the beginning. And we were awesome. Right. And we had thousands of people watching at one time.
Wait a minute. Technically, we are still
fun.
awesome.
Oh, yeah.
What is my favorite phrase from Spurgeon, Charles Spurgeon? The sun behind a cloud is the sun still.
And technically, to let you guys...
sun behind a cloud.
To let you guys know, I know a lot of people, like, they look at numbers. We don't really look at numbers because then we just would get depressed. But... when these shows go out on the podcasts, on Rumble and BitChute, you're part of thousands of people, okay? Not at one time,
right?
But a couple thousand people see on all the different platforms every week, every show.
Yeah, it's
and
awesome.
Sometimes more than that.
Yeah.
Okay. Sometimes,
depending on what, the algorithms on those other platforms do.
Yeah, exactly. So be excited. It's very interesting. There's been a lot of plowing through in Canada. Canada is, it's like, I don't know. It's like some sort of internment camp. Okay. It's not like the rest of the world. It's not even like the UK. It is a place where it's like a hell.
Oh dear.
Right? You can't walk out. You still cannot walk outside. Let me go over these numbers one more time for you, for everybody to understand why this
Give
is so
us the
insane.
numbers.
America, 330 million people. Canada, 32 million people. America open. Canada closed more than even like Los Angeles was. Okay, than the hardest lockdown places.
Right.
They've got curfews still. This is insane. And so Michelle was bringing up that Justin Trudeau has this half brother who's this like red-pilled woke anti-vaxxer. He tweets out about the Great Reset, and he's like, there's a firewall between him and his brother.
So we
He can't
know
talk
that the
to him.
cray-cray gene must come through the father.
No, actually, that's very interesting. I looked it up. His mom is crazy, like legit crazy.
So they don't share a mom.
They do. They're their
Oh.
mom. So Justin Trudeau's dad.
Okay.
Justin Trudeau's dad was Pierre Trudeau. And he was Prime Minister of Canada, and he married a woman 30 years younger than him.
You know.
Okay? And she was like this hippie chick
Okay.
who was not very well informed.
So I'm going to
She
guess
was
that,
kinda stupid.
this half-brother is older than Trudeau.
No, he's younger. He's younger because his mom.
So so then he went for another younger woman. Oh, it's the same mom. That's right. That's
Same
right.
mom,
I'm following.
same mom.
All right, different dad.
So
This, that,
she
different
has
dad.
3 kids with Pierre Trudeau.
Pierre.
Justin is one of them. And she's not really smart. And she's just not, she's kind of wacko. She's had like bipolar disorder. Legitimate. She admits to it.
Wacko.
She'd have like manic depressive moments and things like that. So she's like this freewheeling Buddhist hippie. It's where they both get the heart thing and the Buddhism, and this is crazy. But anyways, so she gets divorced. They get a divorce.
Her name is Margaret, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna push this live so y'all can get a visual here.
Her name is Margaret, and she gets divorced, and she marries this guy with the last name, I guess, Kemper, because the half brother is Kyle Kemper, and he's more of like, he's kind of got the cray in the hippie red pilled vein.
Yeah.
Okay. And actually, Justin pretends to be like his freewheeling mom, but I think he's got inside of him the Great Reset globalist mentality to where he won't even talk to his younger brother. So,
Okay.
yeah.
So the red-pilled brother is the younger brother.
Is the younger brother.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So that's crazy.
Yeah. All
But
right.
it's good news.
So
I mean, we've got some sanity there.
Yeah. So Canada is under some intense craziness. I'm not going to play all of this interview with Pastor Arthur's lawyer, and I don't even know if I'll play any of it because he's not on it. But I guess I'll just go over it with you. So Pastor Arthur's lawyer met with the judge on Wednesday, and this is what I began to understand why was he even arrested?
Right.
So there was a cafe that stayed open called the Whistle Stop, and Rebel News has been camped out there. They've been fighting the fines, and they've been serving people, and then they were like serving people outside of the restaurant and things like that. So there was a judge who issued an order for the Whistle Stop Cafe. Mm-hmm. Anybody who aided and abetted them, or anybody connected to them,
right,
must cease and desist. And this was an order given to the Whistle Stop.
Hang on.
However, go ahead.
No, that phrase, cease and desist. You know what? I think we need to start turning that on them. Okay?
No, you cease and desist.
So if anybody comes, if the cops come to you, you tell them you have an order to cease and desist.
Right.
You have the
So in the same Canadian province, is Pastor Arthur. And so they use this Whistle Stop Cafe order that named specifically people connected to the Whistle Stop Cafe, nobody else. It wasn't a blanket thing over everybody in the province. But they used it against, and I'm going to show you Pastor Stevens, Pastor Stevens, Tim Stevens, who actually, this is good news. He was served under the same Whistle Stop Cafe paper, and the judge threw that out.
Okay, that was the Fairview Baptist Church. That was one of the first churches that we started covering.
And Pastor Arthur was arrested under the same paper. Now, there's two things with this paper. Number one, Pastor Arthur isn't named in it. It's just the Whistle Stop. Right? But these people, the police were using it to like go after everybody.
Oh my gosh.
Okay. Number two, the paper actually says upon notice.
Right.
And Pastor Archer was never given notice. And there was 3 ways to give notice. You must be either orally given notice, you must be verbally given notice, or
Is it orally or verbally the same thing?
Orally, verbally, or handed the paper.
So that's 2.
Handed the paper, read the paper, hand the paper, just talk to.
Okay,
You have to be talked to somehow.
Got it.
And or handed the paper. So what they did was they folded up the paper, put it in a baggie, and threw it on the ground, and then they arrested them. So they weren't actually served the paper. They weren't actually given notice. And in addition, when she was trying to talk to him, he
the police officer?
Yeah, the police officer. When the police officer was trying to talk to Archer, she handed the brother was handed the paper in the
envelope
in the baggie. Archer was handed the paper. Was trying to read it, and she is talking to him, and he is Polish. He's a second language, so he didn't even get a chance to understand what was happening before boom.
Then they're arrested.
You're arrested, and so it should be thrown out. The lawyer is pretty cute. She's really tenacious.
She is doing, I think, a lot of the fight the fines.
She's
representing. I think that's pretty much what she's doing full time.
So go ahead and play the intro. They always give you an intro of what's happening. And Pastor Archer is free until but his next trial isn't until June 28th.
I thought there was one that was coming up really soon.
It was Wednesday.
Okay,
this
already.
is Wednesday.
So this is what
she
happened.
said that the judge was interested in the points that she was making.
Good.
And a lot of these fines and things have been thrown out in court.
Right.
Because they're I'm going to say, I don't...
They
always
say
talk
unconstitutional.
About unconstitutional, but they say charter rights.
Okay, uncharter rightable.
Under charter rightable.
The main thrust of our argument in court on Wednesday was that these words, under the instruction of, in concert with, and even to like effect, which was in the original order, those mean something. And AHS has decided and has been arresting people on the basis that those mean nothing. And so they've taken the position that this order is going to apply to all Albertans, no matter what. It doesn't matter if they have proper notice of the order as defined in the order. It doesn't matter if they're actually acting in concert with the named respondents. Doesn't matter if they're actually acting under the instructions of the respondent. They said in court and in their written submissions that it applies to the public at large, which is just unfathomable to me. We made very strong submissions to Justice Germain on Wednesday that that's illogical, and so I hope that Justice Germain comes to the same conclusion.
Okay. And I summed it up. I summed up the rest of it.
You did.
So
No, that's
you
really
got
good.
I gave it to you in English. She spoke solicitor. Lawyer speak.
Lawyerese.
So basically the respondents was the whistle stop.
Right.
And they were taking this, and she said the paper specifically says the whistle stop people.
Right.
In concert with people in the whistle stop.
Right.
And she goes, it's illogical to apply an order, and it says you have to have due notice of the order before you can be arrested. So they were falsely arrested because they weren't given due notice.
Right.
And they're not in the order to begin with.
Hang on. That's like saying you and your neighbor are doing the same thing that's wrong. Okay. Mm-hmm. And they come and they say they take the notice that was written up that is supposed to go to you, and then they take it and they go to your next door neighbor and say, we're taking the order that's going to the Svensons, and this applies to you too.
So give an example.
No. If it does apply, then you have to go get another order.
So give an example. So like we have an ordinance where you can't have grass over like 9 inches or something like that.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, before they fine you.
Yes.
Okay. So your neighbor's grass is 9 inches tall.
Yes.
And so you're given due notice that you have to cut the grass.
Yes.
Or you get a fine, and your name is on it.
Exactly.
So, but then let's say your city or your township or your county does not give you notice, and your grass is 9 inches, and instead of giving you notice, they immediately fine you.
Well, not only
Because
that,
your
no. Not only that, though.
And then they arrest
give
you.
you your neighbor's notice with your neighbor's name on it. And you're like, hey, I'm not Mr., John Doe over there. My name is Jane Smith.
And why would you need to do that? Because these aren't laws.
Exactly.
These aren't written laws. These ordinances and things haven't been passed. So
right.
You can be thrown in jail for things that are on the books, for laws that are on the books.
Right.
For ordinances that are on the books. These are emergency declarations that come and go every day. You could be free one day and locked up another day. Exactly. So in order to take any sort of criminal
Action.
You must be given notice that this is an emergency thing that's happening.
This is new.
This
is
will
different.
happen to you if you continue to do A, B, C,
because
and
what
D.
what this does is this takes for granted, and this doesn't even apply, but it's
that everybody watches the
and
news.
everybody knows what all the orders are and what everything is, and like, no, you have to be given specific notice,
Right.
So that you also have a chance to defend yourself against the notice. A notice is not a you are guilty, we can put you in jail, because you have the right to contest it.
Right.
You know? Yeah. So I love this lawyer chick. I think that she is not only onto something, I think she's knocking this out of the park. And I think just like with Pastor Tim Stevens from the Fairview Baptist Church, that these are gonna all be, it's kind of like when you get arrested and they don't read you your Miranda rights and then the whole thing gets thrown out.
It has to be thrown
That's what's
out.
gonna happen to
So
all of these.
go ahead and play Tim Stevens, and his was thrown out. And this is and there nothing is on the horizon with them.
Right. Let's see. Not that one. We did that one.
You close that.
Where's the Tim Stevens one?
You don't have. It should be up.
Okay. I'm just saying.
I just need you to
help me find it.
I'm not sure. It may be. I wonder if it's in the next window.
Okay. We can find it. We will find it. I do have another window with Messenger open there. Let's see. Nope. Not that one.
That one's not what I'm actually bringing up.
Okay. Not that one. Is it a YouTube? Is it a...
No, it's Rebel. It's Rebel News, and I actually had it up. So I don't know where it's at.
Well, we can just go back to Rebel News.
Well, it was hard to find there.
Oh, no.
Yeah, it was up.
Oh, didn't you send it to me in...
It's in
my Messenger?
It's in your Messenger.
All right. Let's make sure we're not screen sharing, and I'll just pull it up. So you guys are going to want to hear this, because I'm telling you, we are winning right and left.
Yeah.
Canada is winning, and we are gonna find out that these things have all happened for a reason.
Yeah.
They have all happened for a reason. So I don't feel badly.
Right.
I do feel badly for these people, but we know that, which man sinned, this man or his parents. No, this was done for the glory of God.
For the glory of God.
I think that a lot of this is happening for the glory of God.
Absolutely.
And it's so we're going to see the glory of God, which is awesome.
Yeah.
Your family and your congregation moving forward.
Yeah, well, I can tell that our family and our congregation is rejoicing along with this news and along with myself and others. And so our plan going forward, we still desire to obey our Lord Jesus Christ, and we will do whatever it takes to follow him and to obey him, regardless of what the cost may be. And so we are still committed to the very same principles that have kind of gotten us into this place. And so we will continue to love one another, continue to practice hospitality, continue to fellowship, continue to worship the way that Christ has commanded, and through that just experience the great joy of Christian worship and the relief of some of these consequences being removed from us.
Adam Sos here for Rebel News, and I'm outside of the church of Pastor Tim Stevens, Fairview Baptist Church here in Calgary. And we have an exciting update. The Justice Centre for Constitutional Freedoms has just announced that Alberta Health Services is ceasing all proceedings against Pastor Tim Stevens. Now, this is because, firstly, the court order under which he was arrested only applies to parties directly associated with the Whistle Stop Cafe. So the order did not apply to Pastor Tim Stevens in the first place. And secondly, he was not provided sufficient notice to comply with the order, even if it had applied. So again, all proceedings are stopping against Pastor Tim Stevens for the time being. There'll be no more court dates. He's a free man. And I'm about to meet with Pastor Tim Stevens for an update to get his account of the experience firsthand. Some exciting news today being put out by the Justice Centre. Can you just tell us how much of a relief it is to hear this update?
Well, it's just great news to hear that essentially the contempt charge against me, I knew was unjust, but that's officially been dropped. And so our family and our church can take a sigh of relief knowing this good news.
That's wonderful. It's quite a change from last week. For our viewers who don't know, we actually filmed a video because the church, for fear of persecution, went underground. And there was so much concern that they might come down and arrest everybody, that the persecution would be so severe, that we actually decided not to air that footage because we didn't want the police finding that location. Maybe because we didn't do a story on that, tell us about the experience of having to take your church underground in Alberta.
Yeah, it's quite astounding that there is an underground church, and not just in Alberta, but also in Ontario and BC, other places where churches are having to meet out of the sight of the authorities because we're still convinced that we must obey God. But yet when the authorities come against us with such pressure and the power of the police, we're essentially powerless to do anything about that. And so we have to continue to gather, continue to meet, and to do such in ways that were not immediately obvious. And it's hard for us because, you think about underground church, you think about places like China or North Korea, not Alberta. Yeah. And so we're learning how to do this effectively. And so the challenge is how do we do that with the group size that we have and other churches have in such a way that we can still be faithful to our commitments and but not attract so much attention, negative attention by the authorities who are seeking to put pastors in jail.
And I know like Grace Life has been in a similar situation. There's a number of churches, as you said, that have gone underground. This is nothing new in Christian history. I don't think I have to tell you that. But maybe if you could tell people about the experience. I know I covered the event, and being there felt like something of the early church. Maybe if you could tell us about that experience.
Yeah, well, it was Christian worship in its simplicity because there was none of the pleasantries that you have here in a building. It was very, very simple. Just very raw, people just coming together and those essential elements of what we do as we worship, as we come and we sing, as we hear the word preach, as we celebrate the sacraments. And so those things were done, but in a much more informal, I guess, atmosphere, and an atmosphere where people realized the cost of what it means to follow Jesus, and the cost of what it means to practice our Christian convictions, knowing that the authorities may find us and they may come and ticket our congregants, they may come and bring me back to jail, and so there was a sense of
he went to jail, by the way,
an excitement, and at the same time caution, and a sense of us wanting to worship God in such a way where we understood the great cost that was involved in that, but yet we understand that Christ is worthy of those risks.
Well, one of the associate pastors here said that justice delayed does not mean justice denied in the eyes of God. But were you expecting this to happen so quickly that the government would back off and concede to your fundamental charter right?
No, I wasn't expecting this so quickly. And there's still outstanding charges and summons against myself, not in the contempt of court, but just other fines and tickets. And so I expect to be vindicated in the end as well. What's challenging is that pastors like myself and other Christians are seen in our community, and even among other Christians, as we're lawbreakers. But the truth is we're obeying God's law first and foremost, and we trust that our charter of rights and freedoms, the highest law of our land, will vindicate us because these are protected rights. And so what we've seen here is that it's actually the government that are lawbreakers, not us who are gathering together for worship.
And so do you have any encouragement maybe for other pastors, maybe even Pastor Artur Pawlowski or some of the other pastors across the country facing adversities who have not been sort of moved beyond the legal struggles of their particular battle?
Even Tim.
Yeah, I would say for those other pastors, first and foremost, we must do what's right in the sight of God according to our own conscience. And we'll trust that the protections that have been hard fought here in Canada will end up vindicating us and protecting us against the force of the government, of AHS, and of police. And so I just encourage other pastors like Art and others to continue to worship Christ the way that he has called us to worship, and trust that God will care for his people.
Now, this is all new developments for you. I'm sure you haven't exactly planned your whole life ahead moving out after this. This is a fresh situation. But do you have any idea what the plan is moving forward? I'm sure you're going to spend some time with your family. But what's the plan for your family and your congregation moving forward?
Yeah, well, I can tell that our family and our congregation is rejoicing along with this news and along with myself and others. And so our plan going forward, we still desire to obey our Lord Jesus Christ. And we will do whatever it takes to follow him and to obey him, regardless of what the cost may be. And so we are still committed to the very same principles that have kind of gotten us into this place. And so we will continue to love one another, continue to practice hospitality, continue to fellowship, continue to worship the way that Christ has commanded. And through that, just experience the great joy of Christian worship and the relief of some of these consequences being removed from us.
Wonderful. I want to thank Pastor Tim Stevens for sharing with us.
Okay, so here's what I love about this, and you guys may not be aware, and we talk about it sometimes on the show, is that Rebel News, Ezra Levant is Jewish. And here he is covering all of these Christian pastors and giving them a platform.
Where's the Christian standing up for these people?
To proclaim the name of Jesus Christ.
I know, right?
On his news network. I mean, come on. This doesn't get any better than that. I think, and that's very, very, very powerful.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right about that. To have... I kept thinking about that. My most of my show today for the victories is coming from Rebel News. And we've been watching them fight and watching them fight for over a year.
Yeah.
We've been actually watching them fight for 4 years. And they've had drama with journalists here and there. And
you're talking about Rebel News.
Rebel News. Lauren Southern was part, and then she parted. Tommy Robinson was part, and then he had to go independent, and Gavin McGinnis. But Rebel News has spawned a lot of really great journalists. And I appreciate what they're doing in Canada. With there's Canadians, there is a huge push for conservatism, but they don't get represented in their parliament very well.
And we don't have the equivalent of a Rebel News here in the United States that's doing the boots on the ground stories like Rebel News is doing. And Rebel News doesn't just cover Canada.
Right.
They go everywhere.
Right.
I mean, they're in Canada largely, but
especially covering world news per se. All right, so go ahead, and I want you to play the Vancouver family. There was a family from, and I think it was right around there. There's a family from Vancouver that couldn't handle or didn't want to deal with the lockdowns in Canada, so they went to Mexico for 5 months. And they found that Mexico was just as bad, and so on the way back, you were supposed to get the PCR test.
Oh dear. And
quarantine, or you get fined. Now, they knew that if you fly straight in, it's much worse. And this is a lesson for all of us. Here's the thing. One of the reasons we love Joe Salatin is because as farmers, there's a lot of rules against even growing your own food, raising your own animals, selling your own food. And so sometimes you have to go underground. Sometimes you have to go around the law. Like Joel Salatin wanted to build some dorms for the interns that he has, and they wouldn't allow it. But they do allow in Virginia hunting camps.
Cabins.
So he put up little trailers all over the property for the different interns, and he called them hunting camps. Or hunting for vegetables. So sometimes you have to go around the law
and stay with it.
Yeah, so you don't go crazy. So they didn't fly in. They knew it would be easier if they walked in. They couldn't really stop them. So go over the Peace Bridge, and I guess in Seattle, and it was easier to walk in. Now they couldn't be detained. There was no order to detain people. But if you didn't get the PCR test, and if you didn't quarantine in their quarantine that you had to pay for, then they would give you a large fine, $4,000 each person.
Okay.
And they fought the fine and they won.
Awesome. Let's listen to this. I'm excited about this. Again, Canada. I'm telling you guys, the whole storyline is crumbling right before.
We actually fled Canada because we didn't actually believe in Canada. 8 months ago, we said, F Canada, we don't want to be here anymore. If they're going to enforce these rules, if they're going to, do all this, we'll flee. We'll go somewhere else. So we did. We moved to Mexico, and we stayed there for 5 months. And you know what? Every person on the street was wearing a mask. Everyone at all times. And we realized, you know what? Canada is good. It's actually not Canada. It's the leadership. It's Trudeau. It's the COVID-19 rules. That's what's really the issue here. So we have to come back and fight. So we went across the border and we did nothing. We went across the land border here in Vancouver or here in Surrey, and we said, no, we will not do the PCR test. No, we will not follow these unethical, immoral, illegal rules.
Yeah, we already did it up there. We got the fine already. Okay. Thank you. Have a good day.
Yeah, it'll meet you down.
Oh, thanks so much. So there we go. That's how you refuse it, I guess. We didn't do the PCR tests. We didn't do their tests. Day 1, day 10. We're not doing any of that. But we'll chronicle everything and document it so that when they get their asses sued because they broke every rule, every charter and the human rights, Charter of Human Rights. So,
we'll be contacting our lawyers, our freedom fighting lawyers.
yeah.
The Justice Center, Rebel News, Fight the Fines.
We've had a lot of Fight the Fines wins lately. If you don't know what Fight the Fines is, that's where we provide top-notch lawyers at no cost to Canadians who have found themselves in legal trouble for things like, I don't know, peacefully protesting or not wearing a mask in the store. And sometimes they even get charged for these things. Thank you for everybody who has contributed to them. You can catch out our wins and our active cases at fightthefines.com. But in today's report, I'm going to tell you about a victory for freedom that happened so fast we could barely keep up with the report to show you about it.
Yeah, we already did it up there. So we got the fine already. Okay. Thank you. Have a good day.
Yeah, it'll meet you down.
Oh, thanks so much. So there we go. That's how you refuse it, I guess.
I'm here with Lori, Hallie, and Aaron, one of our Fight the Fines cases, the whole family, because you guys tried to return into our country, right?
We did. We were returning from Mexico to Canada, and we were concerned about some of the complications we were going to be receiving at the airport, so we decided to fly into Seattle and then cross the land border at Peace Arch. And when we crossed the border at Peace Arch, we had a few problems. We were detained for about 4 hours. We were threatened that we were forced to go to the COVID hotel. We denied PCR tests, though. We denied all the quarantines, and we ended up getting almost a $4,000 fine each.
Each?
Yes, each.
Oh my goodness.
So,
did they find the kids?
No, just the grown-ups. Yeah, just the adults. So me and my partner, yeah.
You know, that's happened before. They have fined kids. Now, so we helped contract a lawyer to try to help you guys fight that, but we didn't even get to that because what happened?
Well, it was interesting. We've been waiting and waiting, and we had went into the ICBC office to officially fight the fine and actually to say we weren't going to pay these. And the woman actually we had talked to at ICBC had said most of these get thrown out. So we found that quite interesting. So we just kind of smiled, filed our tickets, and went on our way. And about last week sometime, I got a letter from ICBC. And it was a simple letter. And I thought, why is ICBC contacting us? And it said, we received your fines. It's been acknowledged, but we have found them to be invalid. And all fines have been canceled.
Woo!
Yeah. Just like that. I remember I had a post office box in North Van, and I actually literally cheered and screamed in the building, and everyone was looking at me, and I thought, doesn't matter. Sweet victory.
It is a sweet victory for freedom and common sense, really. How much would you have had to pay if you had, I guess, complied with where they were trying to make you quarantine?
Well, if you include the price of the COVID hotel, I think it's $2,000 per person. So it would have been $8,000 for a family of four. And we
That's
just weren't
the
willing to
same
do that.
price,
It was against
exactly.
our constitutional rights and freedoms. So we said, no, not doing anything. And we were fully prepared when we walked across the border. We had our charter rights with us. We were armed and prepared to fight. So there was no way they were going to take us away.
Yes. Now, we interviewed the other part of the family, Sean. But like I said before, we could even get to business.
Yes.
You heard from ICBC. For those of you who don't know, in BC, they're starting to make it so that if you have, I guess, outstanding COVID fines, you don't get to renew your license.
What?
But in this case, you could go ahead and do that, right?
What I suggest is if you get a ticket, fight it. Because if you show and prove that you're actually fighting it, they can't make you pay it. Like what I'm saying is they can, like if you put the indication that you're fighting this, they cannot hold back your driver's license because there's a court action taking place.
Right.
Well, that's good advice. We see a lot of people just write, I think, rescinded and think it's going to disappear. So,
no, fight it.
Yeah. And that's what we've been doing for those of you who don't know at fightthefines.com. We hopefully we at least relieve some
I want to
stress.
encourage you guys about something. This is a life lesson, actually.
It is.
To understand how the evil and wicked people do things. And I know that a lot of you already know this, but just in case there are some of you that don't, or maybe you're in a situation or you're scared of a situation. The reason why all of these fines, I think, are probably going to get thrown out, or they have been thrown out, or they will be thrown out, whatever. is because they're not trying to fine you, they're trying to threaten you.
Right.
Okay, so that essentially goes against the Nuremberg Code.
I think you're right
but
about that.
They know that's why this came back so fast for this family, because those in power know that it costs more money. And I think we were even told that in a letter that was sent to us when we were fighting our township for our rights to be able to keep our animals on our property, because we qualify under something called 51921.
Right.
It's an Ohio code that means that they can't zone out agricultural practices in townships in the state of Ohio. Right. We fall within that. They kept telling us.
How long did it take us to fight all the different aspects?
Quite a few months, like 3 or 4 months.
But that was the township, and then the county.
And then the county kept coming at us, and every single time we stood firm on our rock, and we said no. We fought them back. They don't want to fight you. It will cost them more in headaches. What you would have to do is you would have to get someone that was quite literally possessed by the devil, that has no control over themselves, in order for them to keep coming at you. And even with that, you'll probably win. But my point is, they all know that they don't have the right to tell you to do these things. They don't have, in Canada, they don't have the right under your charter. Here in the United States, they don't have the right under the Constitution. Even worldwide, most westernized countries do not have the right to be doing the things that they're doing, but they know that if they threaten you, then you won't you won't fight it, and you'll just comply.
There's two things that we're talking about. When you're a revolutionary mindset is when you don't have freedom.
Right.
Okay? We're in a different mindset when we have freedoms that are on the book. That's what people are saying. I have charter rights.
Yes.
That were hard fought in Canada. Yeah. Right? We are not under, they have they're under a little bit, the royal whatever, but they're not a theocracy. They're not a monarchy. They have an elected procedure, and they have charter rights.
Exactly.
And these come from Christian principles. They come from John Locke. Okay? John Locke in the UK, natural rights, rights of man, rights that you're born with, codified in the Western Hemisphere because of Christians who fought.
Right.
Okay? And we have to recognize, what are our natural rights? Our natural rights are to grow our own food.
Can we start with air?
Air we breathe.
I think breathing air is the number one.
Water, to build your own house. There's so many rights that you have. You do have to be careful, and you do have to be wise. Like they didn't just fly right in. They're like, you know what? Let's go in with our charter rights in our hands.
Yeah.
Right? Let's walk in. Let's
Starting
go
with
the easier route.
This is what I love. It's not even that. It's here at Resistance Chicks, we talk a lot about the evils of modern technology, whether that's cars or credit cards or computers or whatever. That's literally working in the devil's realm.
Right.
But when you are on your own 2 feet on land, there is a power and an anointing there that can't be touched. This was the most wise decision that they could have made by walking into the country.
Are still flying in. They're still fighting the fights, and they're still winning.
Right.
Too, even by flying in. I wanted to point that out. Jim Caviezel said something at the Health and Freedom Conference. And I'm sure he was quoting somebody else, but he said, freedom is not the right to just do what you want. Freedom is the right to do what you ought. To do what you are supposed to do the right thing.
Right.
It is the right thing for me to not put something over my face to breathe. It's the right thing for me when I recognize that these medical procedures cannot be mandated by the government.
Right.
It's the right thing for me to do that. It's the right thing for these churches. Freedom is the right thing to hold services, right? And recognizing, and we talk about this all the time on our show, and I wanted to make this show kind of about a victory show for you guys, to let you know that when you're plowing through, when you're plodding through, when you are like Rachel going over and over again to these UK marches, Brit Girl, and she's handing out these, lapels to wear, the whatever you call them, to prove that you don't have to wear a mask or whatever. To recognize that when you're right and you're doing it peacefully, and you're doing it in love, and you're doing it with wisdom, you're going to win eventually.
Yeah.
And you're going to win more people to your side. With that, go ahead and play Chris, Sky, Laura Lynn, Tyler here at the Alberta's largest anti-lockdown protest here.
Okay. Is it this? No, it's not this one. It's the other one.
It should be to the left of it, maybe.
This one? Here we go. I love that they're using exclusively Rumble videos.
Hey, we don't have this.
I think it's because you gotta recognize the tactics, you know, and like comparing it to like other countries that have built socialism, you kind of recognize the government tactics. So it's almost like Canadians wake up, you know, because they don't really realize like the tyranny that's going on.
So I left the doctor's office and stepped onto the street, feeling troubled by the lies and campaign of deceit. But I'm not easily defeated.
Because there's not a lot of artists speaking out. Artists like to copy what the next guy is doing. But I think it's just, it's not really me as a rapper, it's me as a person. I've always been this way. I've always seen right through the bullshit.
You'd think that rappers and things like that would be on the front line of fighting. Aren't they the rebels?
We're in a legislature. But now there's 2,000 people present. And one looks like the face of God.
I know that's really loud for those of you listening to the podcast. He's saying the police are president. Here, I got an idea. Am I the only one that's really struggling to hear what he's saying?
Yeah.
They have subtitles, so I'm going to turn this really down, and we're going to read what he's saying.
He said thousands of people have shown up, each risking a $2,000 fine.
That's awesome.
And the police are there.
So who was he saying that's slated to show up today?
I'm not sure.
I missed that part. Let's rewind it here. Oh, controversial activist Chris Sky is slated to show up later today. But who knows? Let's check it out, he says.
Seniors' rights, my body, my choice. There's a sign there.
There's
one of our freedoms,
a lot of people there for Canada.
Outlined in the charter, of course, is freedom of religion.
It is so good to see you, first of all. Thank you, Rebel News, for being the bomb. The only ones fighting strong. I mean, every time it turn around, David Menzies is getting arrested. And we are so grateful for that, David. Do not underestimate that. And we're waiting for Sheila to actually spend a couple of nights in the slammer. You know, just but anyway,
Sheila Gunreed.
Talking about that. I love you guys. Thank you very much.
She says, stand up for our rights, you know. Hang on, let me pause this because I want to turn this down so that we can read this because this is important what these girls are saying here.
I think his mic is not working.
I don't think his mic is working either, but they know it, and so they put the subtitles because it's good footage. Right. And to support the cause, this has been going on for too long. The other girl says, I think it's because we have to recognize the tactics. Comparing it to other countries that have failed at socialism. You have to recognize the government tactics. Canadians, wake up, you know? They don't realize the tyranny that's going on. He says, how do you guys feel about Jason Kennedy's reopening? She says, I think it's ridiculous. He told us a couple of months ago that he wouldn't depend on vaccinations to open up. And now he's doing the exact opposite. So I think he's a coward. Although I'm kind of confused because, like, there's a lot of things left out. You know what I mean? He said in the beginning, oh, masks are mandatory. Then in the end, are masks still mandatory or do we just go without it? We don't know.
So I'm here because
you can hear her.
People think you can't get on a plane. So I booked a ticket just like a couple years ago and I flew here. Now I had to wear a stupid mask, yes, but I got here. People think, are you allowed to do that? Do you have to take a PCR? No. We live in Canada. We do not live in North Korea or China. We live in Canada and we're allowed to travel. So that's what I'm here. And then I blow my shofar, which is a sign of war. And I got it about 2 years ago. And I knew that war was coming. I just didn't know it was going to be this kind of war where they try to shut everything down.
She brought that
make 12 and 17-year-olds take a vaccine that they don't need because they are virtually unaffected by COVID. So I thought, well, I'm getting a shofar because we're at war. And I show up with all these beautiful Albertans because we got to fight. We got to stand strong.
That is
all the shofar blowers.
12-year-old can't sign a field trip permission slip.
they shouldn't be allowed to make that decision, what goes in their body. And informed consent is not informed consent if they're not given all the facts, not just the facts the government wants you to have.
How do you feel about Jason Kenney's reopening plan?
I've been open this whole time. I don't care what Jason Kenney has to say. He has no place in my house.
Thank you. How do you feel about the energy?
How do you feel about the energy here today?
It's, you know, there's a lot of people that are tired of what's going on. And in that group of people, there's some people that maybe not have connected the dots yet. They think it's just maybe about a virus or something. But, you know, more and more information is getting out. People are connecting dots, light bulbs are going on, and putting these things together to understand what it's really all about, what's really happening.
That it's more than just about a virus.
So I left the doctor's office and stepped onto the street, feeling troubled by the lies and campaign of deceit. But I'm not easily defeated, I'm not one to retreat. I tried to make a post about it, then deleted the tweet.
Because there's not a lot of artists speaking out. Artists like to copy what the next guy is doing. But I think it's just, it's not really me as a rapper, it's me as a person. I've always been this way. I've always seen right through the bullshit, and I'm still doing that to this day. This is no different. I do happen to rap. That's sort of the way that I see it. So now I'm putting my thoughts and my views and my core beliefs into my music. I've been doing music for a long time, but I never really was motivated enough to get serious about it until all this started happening.
We came out here to fight for our freedom. I mean, seeing the pastors being arrested and literally dragged across pavement or preaching a sermon brought me to tears. Like, that breaks my heart that our charter rights and freedoms are being ripped away from us, and we have no religious freedom. I came here because I grew up in Florida Prairie, just to be here because I want to support Alberta. I'm sick of this. I know so many people suffering, so many businesses lost, so many people that can't even get surgeries because of COVID, all because of COVID. I am done. I'm done, and I came here to fight for Canada.
I came here today as a concerned mother. I'm very upset that they are pushing this inoculation on 12 to 15-year-olds. I do believe it's the Pfizer and the Moderna. Pfizer has paid out $2.3 billion in lawsuits. They are a very criminal company, and now they are saying that, oh yeah, it's 100%, like, we're good, like, just start inoculating all the kids, when this isn't even affecting the children. And like I said, first it was masks, and now it's the vaccines, and now I'm
has met that standard.
Leave the fucking kids alone.
And until they do,
sorry about my life. As an ex-police officer, do you have any insight into that?
So I guess the most I can say in regards to that would be there are some officers, like any other job, you have guys who take the job too seriously and guys who don't believe in discretion and they believe in the word of the law, and that's it. Whether or not they actually read it and understand it, I can guarantee you that most of these officers here probably don't even understand what they're actually enforcing. They just got a policy from the higher ups to sit there and say, these are the tickets you're writing now, so this is what you're going to write. I can almost guarantee that's what's happening.
I am appalled at the fact that most people have to live in fear because the media and the government has been promoting this fear when 99.8% of people under 70 survive COVID. So why would we do this? I think it's corrupt.
Wrapping up here.
Okay, all right, there you go. So this is really exciting.
Even though it was hard to listen to, I wanted you guys to hear them because there are so many of us. When I see that the people in Canada or people, and well, I don't really see them in France because they speak French. But there are people all over the globe who are saying the same thing. Yeah. And when the Great Resetters came out, it took a lot of people by surprise. And imagine, this is why they have to do the censorship. Imagine if there were no censorship, the boat would just tip. Yeah. It would just capsize.
Absolutely.
Because
and they know
what everybody was saying, they're the sane people.
Yeah.
And when people are confronted with truth, like all of a sudden Facebook says you're allowed to say that it's feasible that COVID-19 was created in a lab and escaped from the lab.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're allowed to say that it's a biological weapon and that China specifically
we're on YouTube.
If that did this to go after everybody. I don't know if you're allowed to say that or not. I don't know if you're allowed to say that or not.
They don't care what you say before or after it.
I know. Listen, the YouTube channel is just this big. Okay.
It is.
All right.
We're literally, so when we say we're on YouTube, we're on Resistance Chicks Church. It's literally just got the last few weeks videos on it. That's it. It's very small.
And they'll find it soon and they'll take it down. So whatever.
Right.
If we keep streaming our shows, they'll find it. And we can just keep it for just church. We made it so that we would just do church services on it. And then we're like, do you want to go live on that? Well, sure, whatever.
Okay, why not?
Okay, why not? So, but we really can't censor ourselves. We can't keep censoring ourselves. It's just insane. And so when you look at this whole situation, this is a weapon, because what China did when they continued flights in and out of Wuhan, what China did when they knew they had doctors sick in December, didn't tell anybody.
Mm-hmm.
And then they pushed it, and they pushed the lockdowns, and then all of a sudden, within like a month or two,
theirs vanished.
They're wide open, and the rest of the world, and they're encouraging the rest of the world to stay closed, stay closed, stay closed. Whatever country is still staying closed, they're the ones that are closely tied with the CCP, the Great Reset, and they're trying to. They have a vision.
Yes.
Their satanic overlords or whatever gave them a vision and said, "This is what we want to do. This is how we want to change the world." And God's like, "Yeah. We're going to change the world." So if you go to the next window, I want to play just a little bit here from Edmonton. They had a freedom rally.
The next tab?
The other window.
Okay, I'm in the other window.
The other window. It's people need to hear the message.
Got it.
Edmonton's hosts freedom rally outside Alberta legislature.
He's trying to cover his ass with Bill 70. What is this, like, protection against lawsuits for AHS and long-term care homes?
People need to hear the message, because if all you're doing is preaching to the choir, you're not really going to accomplish very much. It's the young people who are getting affected by this ideology the most.
Substance abuse, opioid overdoses, child abuse, all gone up by like over 100%.
Stand up for the people of this country and stand up for freedom everywhere.
Tell us the truth, because the truth will set everybody free.
It's my constitutional right to work and be free, so let's work and be free. It's time everybody started joining in and doing the same thing.
That maybe I should volunteer my time and translate the Nuremberg Code in English so that Mr. Kenny can read it.
If he does the right thing, he's going to be protected and he'll be fine. If he doesn't, well, I just pray for his soul.
Perhaps you were born for such a time as this.
Daniel Day here with the Rebel News. Today I'm at the Alberta Legislature covering the weekly anti-lockdown protests. Have about 150 to 200 people here, all risking a hefty fine of $2,000. The police are already here. Are they going to get tickets? I don't know. Let's check it out.
Me and my family, we were looking for... Crap. I always do this. We were looking for an avenue to try and bring our business back into order and create a freedom for our country here.
So why you guys come out here today?
We came out here to protest the lockdowns and their unfairness and the fact that they just simply don't work. And we've looked into it a lot, and I find lots of evidence suggesting that they don't work, and I challenge my friends to produce the evidence that say they do. And I haven't gotten anything yet.
We need to stand up to the government and everything that's going on, not just in Canada, but beyond our world. There's a lot of movement towards Marxism and things that I don't agree with. And our soldiers died for us to be free in this country, and that's not what we have right now.
We came out for our rights, our freedoms. We disagree strongly with the lockdowns that are going on right now. We believe that they are far more harmful to people's health than the lockdowns themselves.
I know.
There's no logic behind any of these mandates, these mask restrictions, the social distancing. All of this is unscientific and illogical. Bill C-10, Bill 66, Bill 70, all anti-Canadian bills being like rammed through the legislature and parliament. Kenny's trying to cover his ass with Bill 70. What is this, like, protection against lawsuits for AHS and long-term care homes, and stifling free speech, Bill C-10 and Bill 66, giving the CMOH way too much power over the lives of everybody.
Can you pause real quick?
with like harm.
You wanted to comment on the weather and the clothing.
No. I want to comment on the fact that Canadians are better educated than we are.
Well, that's true.
Because when I do these videos, wherever they're at, whoever they put the mic in front of, they're well-spoken, they're well-informed, and they know what they're talking about. Now, not to say that Americans aren't, but like Canadians, I think
what you actually mean is it's not that they're better educated. I think they're less worldly in that what happens in the United States is we get so preoccupied that what you're looking at isn't a difference of intelligence. It's a difference of where you
I wasn't
put
saying
your
intelligence, I was saying education.
Excuse me, where you put your focus. So Americans have become so gluttonous that we're going to put our focus on video games or Hollywood or this or that or the other. Mm-hmm. And Canadians are like, we're going to put our attention into the matters that are actually happening.
All of these people were well educated on the bills,
I know,
on the rights,
and
no
I
matter
just think
who
that Americans
they
are too self-centered, and not all of them. I think a lot of us, we don't even realize it. We're too
more
focused,
childlike.
and we're focused on the latest, movie star or something like that than we are on actual issues. And I think that that's the difference of what you're looking at.
Yeah. Okay. You can pause that one. And go next door here to this Canadian armed forces member was charged with mutiny after speaking out against the jab. So a member of the Canadian Armed Forces has been charged with mutiny for speaking out against the jab and urging colleagues to not help with distribution. Officer Cadet Ladislas Kandirsi has been charged with one count of persuading another person to join in a mutiny and one count of behaving in a scandalous manner unbecoming of an officer, according to the Ottawa Citizen. Kindersee was filmed at an anti-lockdown rally in Toronto in December, where he spoke of poison jabs to other service members. I'm asking military right now who are serving, truck drivers, medical, engineers, whatever you are, do not take this unlawful order in distribution of this jab. The speaker said, I might be in a lot of blank for doing this. I don't care anymore. Wow. Supporters of the officer have launched a crowd fund for his legal fees, claiming that he was speaking out against what they called experimental gene therapy during the event. I'm just saying a small prayer for myself and a prayer for Canada and the Canadians that hopefully my efforts and what I have done is not in vain. He stated in a video attached to the GoFundMe, which has been deleted by GoFundMe.
Oh my gosh.
Rory Fowler, a lieutenant. Here's the thing. That's crazy because now GoFundMe, all these people are taking the stance that everyone must take the jab.
Yeah.
And you cannot speak out against it. This is a war. We're in a battle. Blow your shofar.
We're winning.
We're winning, but we are in the midst of the battle. We are in the midst of it.
Do we have another tab?
There is a near universal condemnation and bewilderment at the things that he was saying and how he was portraying himself, said Fowler. A retired lieutenant colonel and lawyer claimed the clip stunned military members. Kindersee will be subject to a court-martial, which Fowler stated he does not expect to process until later this year or early next year. Fowler and Christian Lupreck, a professor at the Royal Military College of Canada and Queen's University, said the charge of mutiny came as a surprise, with Fowler admitting that he could not recall the charge being imposed since the 1950s.
See, here's the thing. The mutiny charge does not...
But here's the thing. This mutiny carries life imprisonment.
Yeah. But it can't... It doesn't stick, because in order to mutiny something, you have to try to overthrow.
Yes.
Okay. That's
you
not
can disobey
what
an order, by the way.
Even if you get people to massively disobey an order, is not the same thing as mutiny. But what I find really disturbing about this from the military standpoint is you and I are citizens, and even if they tell us you can't go into the store if you get a jab, or you can't do this, or you can't do that, that is still somehow we have some sort of right. But when you're in the military, and they essentially, I mean, you could get whatever they can do to you for disobeying this order. There's really no extent to how far they could take it. And that to me is the ultimate, because you're really trapped.
Right.
as a serviceman or woman. You know, that's what's so terrifying about
I don't know if you need to take us off of Resistance Chicks Church. Hey guys, just go join us the other one because I want to play this.
Okay.
This emergency department doctor says that they are rejecting his adverse reaction reports.
This is in the United States,
This
isn't
is
it?
in Canada.
Oh, it is still in Canada. Oh my gosh, our whole show's for Canada today.
Yeah.
All right, so if you're watching on Resistance Chicks Church on YouTube, we love you guys, and I'm going to ask you to join us on all of the other platforms.
D Live, go watch us D Live, and Facebook is live, and Twitch is live.
All you have to do is go to resistancechicks.com and click on any one of the links, including the Facebook one, and join us there, and you can
Leave
watch.
your comments.
Leave the comment section in those other places are really fun, especially on D Live. So I think you'll enjoy it. So we're going to say goodbye to Resistance Chicks Church, and we will see you guys again, after a while. Y'all know the routine.